History is not what you learned in school. It is stranger and funnier than any story ever told. The past is filled with crazy moments that actually happened. Today, we are looking at 33 unbelievable facts that sound fake but are completely true. Let's get into it. Fact 1. The beard tax. Peter the Great ruled Russia in the 1700s. He wanted his country to look modern like the rest of Europe, but Russian men loved their beards more than anything else. So Peter came up with a plan that shocked everyone. He created a special tax just for facial hair. If you wanted to keep your beard, you had to pay money. Rich nobles paid the most to stay hairy and proud. Anyone who paid received a small metal coin as proof. The coin had a picture of a beard stamped on it. You had to carry this coin everywhere you went. Guards could stop you and ask for your beard license. If you could not show it, they would shave you right there. Imagine getting fined just for having hair on your face. Peter turned fashion into a law that nobody could escape. He made being handsome expensive and being scruffy illegal. Fact 2. The person who ate your sins. Hundreds of years ago in Britain and Wales, death brought a strange visitor. When someone died, their family needed help with the soul. They believed the dead person carried all their bad deeds with them. So they hired someone called a sign eater to fix this problem. The family placed bread and beer on top of the coffin. The sign eater would kneel down and eat the entire meal. By swallowing the food, they were taking all the wrongdoings away. The dead person could now rest in peace without guilt. But the sin eater paid a terrible price for this job. After eating, the family would throw insults and chase them away. Nobody wanted to be near someone carrying so many bad deeds. They lived alone and died alone with nobody caring about them. The last sin eater was Richard Munslow, who died in 1906. He was different because he was actually a respected farmer. Most sin eaters were poor and desperate for any money they could get. Would you eat a sandwich to clean someone's mistakes? Probably not, unless you were starving. Fact 3. The female pharaoh with a fake beard. Hatshepsut became one of Egypt's most powerful rulers in the 15th century. But she faced a huge problem right from the start. Nobody took women leaders seriously back then. So she came up with a clever solution that shocked everyone. She started dressing exactly like a man in all official settings. Her statues show her with broad shoulders and male clothing. The strangest part was the false beard she wore everywhere. Egyptian kings always wore ceremonial beards as symbols of power. Hatshepsut glued on a fake one to match them perfectly. This disguise worked better than anyone expected it to. People started treating her like any other powerful king. She led Egypt into a golden age of wealth and trade. Temples were built and monuments rose across the land. She proved you did not need to be male to rule. You just needed a really convincing fake beard and confidence. Fact 4. Arrested for smiling. Montana in 1917 saw one of the weirdest arrests ever recorded. A man sat quietly in a courtroom watching the trial unfold. Suddenly, he smiled at something that happened during the proceedings. The judge looked up and saw the grin on his face. Without any warning, the judge exploded with anger at the man. He called the smile contempt of court and ordered immediate arrest. Guards grabbed the man and threw him in jail for grinning. No crime was committed except having a happy face at the wrong time. It shows how strict and humorless courts could be a century ago. Imagine getting locked up today just for cracking a smile. Half the planet would be behind bars instantly for being cheerful. Fact 5. Pink was for boys and blue for girls. Once upon a time, colors meant the complete opposite of today. In Europe centuries ago, pink was not cute or soft. It was seen as a light shade of red, which meant blood and courage. Young boys wore pink because they were expected to become warriors. Blue, on the other hand, was calm, pure, and gentle. It was connected to peaceful images and soft feelings. Many societies gave blue to baby girls for these exact reasons. This all flipped completely in the mid-20th century. Mamie Eisenhower was the First Lady of the United States. She wore pink so often that it became a nationwide sensation. Advertisers saw a chance to make huge profits from this trend. They started branding pink for girls and blue for boys everywhere. By the 1950s, the switch was complete and permanent in culture. The funny truth is, colors never actually had any gender at all. We just decided to give them one for marketing purposes. Fact 6. The tiny pocket mystery solved. Ever wonder what that small pocket on your jeans is actually for? Most people call it the fifth pocket, but history tells another story. Let us travel back to 1873 when Levi's jeans were first created. The original design had only 4 pockets in total back then. 2 in the front, 1 on the back, and 1 tiny pocket. So what we now call the fifth pocket was really the fourth. The true fifth pocket, the second back pocket, came much later in 1901. Its official name was the watch pocket or fob pocket back then. A fob was a fancy chain used to secure expensive pocket watches. During World War II, Levi Strauss removed the metal rivets from it. This was done to save precious metal for the war effort overseas. The rivets came back after the war ended and peace returned. Today, its original purpose is completely forgotten by almost everyone. But this tiny pocket has found brand new uses over time. People stuff it with coins, guitar picks, lighters, and wireless earbuds now. The fifth pocket on your jeans is actually a time machine from the 1800s. Fact 7. The perfect robbery in Tokyo. December 10, 1968, in Tokyo changed crime history forever. 4 bank employees carried 294 million yen in their car trunk. That equals about $6 million in modern money today. Suddenly, a man dressed as a policeman pulled them over on the road. He claimed their car was rigged with a bomb just like before. He said their manager's house was hit with the same type of bomb. Smoke started pouring out from under the vehicle right on cue. The terrified guards jumped out and ran away from the car immediately. The fake officer calmly slid behind the wheel and drove off completely. He vanished with all the cash and was never seen again. No guns were used and no violence happened at all. Just smoke, acting skills, and nerves made of pure steel. It became Japan's largest heist and sparked their biggest manhunt ever. Millions of fingerprints were checked and thousands were questioned hard. Yet no arrest was ever made and no money was recovered. The perfect crime was pulled off without a single trace left behind. Fact 8. The heart attack weapon. In 1975, United States Senate hearings revealed shocking secrets about spies. The CIA showed Congress a modified weapon that terrified everyone present. It was a special pistol that fired tiny poison darts silently. The darts carried shellfish toxin that could cause instant heart attacks. It left behind only a tiny red dot that doctors would miss. The weapon was designed to make murder look like natural death. Intelligence agencies called it the heart attack weapon in official documents. The CIA admitted they developed bizarre tools and deadly poisons for years, but they never confirmed actually using this specific weapon in real missions. It became one of the most chilling symbols of Cold War spying. When James Bond movies feel less dramatic than actual reality, you know the spy game got seriously weird and dangerous. Fact 9. The Navy cat with a service record. In 1944, sailors on the USS North Carolina rescued a kitten from the ocean. They named him George, short for General Electric, the company. He became their official mascot and lived on the ship with them. The crew loved him so much they gave him a real Navy health record. It was filled with funny notes about his personality and behavior. The record listed conditions like worries everyone and hollers like crazy. George had a special Liberty card giving him free run of all decks. Through the long months of war, he meant everything to those sailors. He was not just a pet, but family they cared about deeply. From stray kitten floating in the sea to wartime legend on a battleship, George the cat always landed on his feet, no matter what happened. Fact 10. The first flight passengers. In 1783, the Montgolfier brothers made history in France with balloons. They built the world's first hot air balloon that actually worked. But they refused to risk human lives on the maiden flight test. Instead, they strapped in 3 very unusual passengers for the journey. A sheep, a duck, and a rooster were the chosen pioneers. The odd trio soared through the sky for 8 whole minutes. They landed safely and made history as aviation's first flyers ever. The successful flight paved the way for humans to follow soon after. Imagine being the rooster trying to explain to other birds later. You flew in a basket before the Wright brothers were even born. Fact 11, the world's largest time capsule. In 1975, Harold Davis decided to make history in Seward, Nebraska. He did not just bury a small box like most people do. He built the world's largest time capsule weighing 45 tons of concrete. Inside, he packed more than 5,000 artifacts from everyday life back then. It earned a Guinness World Record for being the largest capsule ever. After losing the title in 1983, he added a pyramid on top. This let him reclaim the record and keep it forever after that. Inside was everything from letters and photos to amazing vehicles. A brand new 1975 Chevrolet Vega and a Kawasaki motorcycle were buried whole. The vault stayed sealed shut for exactly 50 years, waiting patiently. On June 26, 2025, the first cracks opened for the world. By July 4th, America's birthday, the capsule came fully alive again. The buried Chevrolet Vega was surprisingly well preserved after half a century underground. Its paint was still bright and vivid, like it just left the showroom. After a quick tune-up, the car was driven in the Seward 4th of July parade. It completed its journey from the showroom floor to the open road decades later. Fact 12, the treasure hunt that consumed America. In 1885, a pamphlet appeared describing buried treasure in Virginia worth millions. The treasure supposedly belonged to Thomas Beale, who hid it decades earlier. 3 coded messages were included, but only one could be cracked. It revealed 3,000 pounds of gold and 5,000 pounds of silver buried somewhere. The other 2 codes have never been solved, despite countless attempts. Treasure hunters have spent over a century digging across Virginia searching desperately. Some believe it is real, while others think it is an elaborate hoax. To this day, the Beale ciphers remain one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Somewhere out there might be millions waiting, or just a really good story. Fact 13, the dancing plague. In 1518, something absolutely insane happened in Strasbourg, France. A woman named Frau Trophea started dancing in the street without stopping. She danced for days without rest, food, or sleep at all. Within a week, dozens more joined her in non-stop dancing. Within a month, around 400 people were dancing uncontrollably through the city. Many collapsed from exhaustion, and some even died from the strain. Doctors had no explanation for what was happening to these people. Some historians think it was mass hysteria caused by stress and fear. Others believe contaminated grain caused hallucinations and wild movements. Whatever the cause, the dancing plague remains one of history's strangest events. Imagine a flash mob that nobody could stop even if they wanted to. Fact 14, the Pope who put a dead body on trial. In the year 897, Pope Stephen VI did something unbelievably bizarre. He ordered his predecessor, Pope Formosus, to stand trial for crimes. There was just one small problem with this legal proceeding. Formosus had been dead and buried for several months already. Stephen had the corpse dug up and dressed in papal robes. The body was propped up on a throne in the courtroom. A deacon stood behind the corpse and answered questions for it. Formosus was found guilty of various charges after the trial ended. His body was stripped of its robes, and 3 fingers were cut off. Then the corpse was thrown into the river as final punishment. This event became known as the Cadaver Synod in history books. It remains one of the most disturbing trials ever held anywhere. Putting a dead person on trial makes reality stranger than horror movies. Fact 15, the war over a bucket. In 1325, soldiers from Modena snuck into Bologna, Italy at night. They stole a wooden bucket from a well in the city center. Bologna demanded the bucket back, but Modena refused to return it. This small theft sparked a war between the 2 Italian cities. Thousands of soldiers died fighting over a simple wooden bucket. The War of the Bucket lasted for years and destroyed countless lives. Modena won the war, but Bologna never forgot the humiliation they suffered. The bucket still sits in a tower in Modena to this very day. It serves as a reminder that humans will fight over absolutely anything. A bucket caused more deaths than some modern conflicts combined. Fact 16, the man who sold the Eiffel Tower twice. Victor Lustig was a con artist who pulled off impossible scams. In 1925, he read that the Eiffel Tower needed expensive repairs. He posed as a government official and invited scrap metal dealers to a meeting. Lustig told them France was secretly selling the tower for scrap metal. He convinced one dealer to pay him a huge bribe for the contract. Then he vanished with the money before anyone realized the truth. The dealer was too embarrassed to report being fooled so badly. So Lustig came back to Paris and sold the tower again to someone else. He pulled off the same scam twice before finally fleeing the country. Selling a national monument that you do not own takes serious nerve. Lustig proved that confidence is the greatest tool any criminal can have. Fact 17. The Great Emu War. In 1932, Australia declared war on a bird and lost badly. Emus were destroying crops across Western Australia in huge numbers. The military was called in with soldiers, machine guns, and plenty of ammunition. They thought it would be an easy victory over some dumb birds. But the emus were fast, smart, and incredibly hard to hit. They scattered when attacked and regrouped somewhere else immediately. After weeks of fighting, the military killed only a fraction of the emus. The birds kept destroying crops while soldiers wasted thousands of bullets. Eventually, the military gave up and withdrew in complete embarrassment. Australia officially lost a war against flightless birds with tiny brains. The Great Emu War proves that nature sometimes wins no matter what. Fact 18. The Voynich Manuscript Mystery. In the early 1400s, someone created the most mysterious book ever discovered. The Voynich manuscript is filled with strange drawings and unknown writing. It contains illustrations of plants that do not exist anywhere on Earth. There are astronomical charts that make no sense to any scientist. The text is written in a language or code nobody can read. Scholars, cryptographers, and computers have all tried to crack it and failed. Some think it is a medical text, while others believe it is pure nonsense. Carbon dating proves the book is genuinely old and not a modern fake. After 600 years, the Voynich manuscript keeps all its secrets locked away. It sits in a library mocking everyone who tries to understand it. Fact 19. The inventor killed by his own invention. Franz Reichelt was a tailor who invented a parachute suit in 1912. He believed his design would save pilots from crashing airplane disasters. To prove it worked, he climbed the Eiffel Tower in Paris one cold morning. He told officials he would test it with a dummy first for safety. But when he got to the top, he changed his mind suddenly. Reichelt put on the suit himself and jumped from the first platform. The parachute failed completely, and he fell straight down to his death. Cameras captured the entire tragic moment as he plummeted to the ground. His invention did not work, and he paid for it with his life. Sometimes the inventor becomes the final test subject in the worst way possible. Fact 20. The Night Witches of World War II. During World War II, the Soviet Union created an all-female bomber regiment. They flew old wooden planes that were slow, loud, and defenseless against fighters. These planes were originally designed for crop dusting and training purposes only, but the women turned them into deadly weapons against the enemy. They would cut their engines and glide silently over targets at night. The only sound was the wind through the wings like a broomstick. German soldiers called them the Night Witches because they seemed supernatural. These brave women flew over 23,000 missions and dropped thousands of bombs. Many were shot down, but they kept fighting until the war ended. They proved courage has nothing to do with equipment or being male. Fact 21. The shortest war in history. On August 27, 1896, war broke out between Britain and Zanzibar. It lasted exactly 38 minutes from start to finish that morning. The Sultan of Zanzibar died, and his nephew seized power illegally overnight. Britain demanded he step down, but he refused and barricaded himself. British warships in the harbor opened fire on the palace at dawn. The palace was destroyed, and the pretender sultan fled for his life. Zanzibar surrendered before most people finished their breakfast that day. It remains the shortest war ever recorded in human history anywhere. Some people take longer showers than this entire war lasted in total. Fact 22. The Library of Alexandria fire. The Library of Alexandria in Egypt held the ancient world's greatest knowledge. It contained hundreds of thousands of scrolls from every civilization known then. Scientists, philosophers, and scholars traveled from across the world to study there. Then disaster struck, and much of it burned in a fire. The exact cause and date are still debated by historians today. Some blame Julius Caesar, while others point to later attacks and neglect. What we do know is that countless irreplaceable texts were lost forever. Mathematical discoveries, historical records, and scientific knowledge vanished in smoke. We will never know what secrets and wisdom burned with those scrolls. It remains one of history's greatest intellectual tragedies that cannot be undone. Fact 23. The man who survived 2 atomic bombs. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on business in August 1945. The first atomic bomb dropped, and he was badly burned and injured. He spent the night in the destroyed city before traveling home. His home was in Nagasaki, another Japanese city far away. 3 days later, he was at work when the second bomb dropped. He survived both atomic explosions within the same week somehow. He lived until 2010, reaching the age of 93 years old. He spent his life campaigning for nuclear disarmament and peace worldwide. Surviving 1 atomic bomb is incredible, but 2 is almost impossible to believe. Yamaguchi proved that human resilience can overcome even the worst disasters imaginable. Fact 24. Raining frogs from the sky. In medieval times, people believed that frogs would rain from the sky. This was not mythology, but something they actually witnessed happening regularly. Modern science has explained this phenomenon with a simple answer now. Tornadoes and waterspouts suck up small animals from ponds and lakes. Then they carry them high into the clouds above the ground. When the storm weakens, the animals fall down like rain elsewhere. Frogs, fish, and even small birds have all fallen from the sky. Imagine looking up and seeing fish falling on your head instead of raindrops. Medieval people must have thought the world was ending every single time. Fact 25. The president who got stuck in a bathtub. William Howard Taft was the largest president in American history by weight. He weighed over 300 pounds during his time in the White House. One day, he got stuck in the official presidential bathtub and needed help. Workers had to install a new custom bathtub that could fit him. The new tub was so massive that 4 normal men could sit inside it. This story has been told for over a century as absolute fact. Recent historians question if it actually happened or is just a legend. Either way, Taft's weight was real and caused him many problems in life. He later became Chief Justice and lost a lot of weight successfully. Being president is hard, but being stuck in a bathtub is just embarrassing. Fact 26. The Viking who founded Russia. In the 9th century, a Viking leader named Rurik arrived in Eastern Europe. He was invited by Slavic tribes to bring order to their chaotic lands. Rurik established himself in Novgorod and began building a kingdom from scratch. His descendants would eventually create the Russian state we know about today. From a Norse raider sailing rivers, he became one of Europe's most powerful rulers. It proves that sometimes the invader does not just steal and leave. He takes the throne, builds a nation, and changes history forever afterward. Fact 27. The rooftop racetrack factory. In the 1920s, Turin built a factory like nothing else on Earth. The Lingotto was a 5-story Fiat plant with a secret on top. Cars rolled off the assembly line and spiraled up ramps inside. Then they thundered onto the roof and hit speeds of 56 miles per hour. It was Europe's most advanced factory and a symbol of speed and power. When production ended in 1982, architect Renzo Piano transformed the building completely. The factory became a cultural center with theaters, shops, and an art museum. But the rooftop track remained exactly where it was originally built. Today, visitors can walk where test drivers once raced above the city skyline. It is a surreal blend of industrial history and automotive horsepower combined. Fact 28. The nurse who weaponized math. Florence Nightingale was not just the founder of modern nursing practices. She was also a brilliant statistician who understood data deeply. During the Crimean War, she collected information proving something shocking to officials. Poor sanitation killed more soldiers than bullets and combat wounds combined. To persuade stubborn military leaders, she used pie charts and colorful graphs. Visual presentations were shocking tools in the 1850s when most used words. Her diagrams revealed that disease was the real enemy killing troops daily. By pushing reforms hard, she saved countless lives and transformed military hospitals forever. She literally weaponized mathematics and made charts deadlier to generals than cannon fire. Numbers changed the world more than any sword or gun could accomplish. Fact 29. The Queen's speech in armor. In 1588, the Spanish Armada threatened to invade England with massive force. Queen Elizabeth I faced her troops at Tilbury before battle. She appeared dressed in full armor, ready to fight alongside her soldiers. She addressed them with words that would echo through history forever. "I have the body of a weak and feeble woman," she declared loudly, "but I have the heart and stomach of a king inside me." Her defiance inspired soldiers as England prepared to face Spain's mighty fleet. The Armada was defeated, and Elizabeth's legend was cemented in history books. When your speech makes men forget they are outnumbered badly, you mastered leadership completely. Fact 30. The horse that almost became a senator. Roman Emperor Caligula loved his horse Incitatus more than most people. He gave it a marble stable, jeweled collar, and servants to attend it constantly. Ancient writers claimed he planned to make the horse a senator or priest. Some historians think he was joking to mock the Senate's uselessness to him. Others believe he was completely serious and genuinely insane by that point. For Caligula, power meant pushing absurdity to its absolute limit always. When a horse gets better treatment than half your empire's citizens, politics has gone completely off the rails into madness. Fact 31. The city built on wood. Venice stands on millions of wooden poles driven deep into lagoon mud. These foundations were laid nearly 1,000 years ago by skilled workers. The wood did not rot because it sat in oxygen-poor water underground. This actually petrified and hardened the wood over many centuries passing. That is why the city still floats today, even while battling rising seas. Grand palaces, cathedrals, and narrow canals rest on ancient tree trunks below. A city that should have sunk long ago still thrives and amazes visitors. Talk about stubborn foundations that refuse to give up no matter what. Fact 32. The bookseller who never locks his shop. Deep inside Rabat's Medina, one man turned his shop into a temple of knowledge. Since 1967, bookseller Muhammad Aziz has sat among endless stacks of books. He reads for up to 12 hours every single day without getting bored. In his lifetime, he has read more than 5,000 books in 4 different languages. Arabic, French, Spanish, and English all flow through his mind easily now. People asked why he leaves his books outside where anyone could steal them. He gave a legendary reply that became famous across the world. Those who cannot read do not steal books from anyone ever. Those who can read are not thieves by nature or choice. For over half a century, Aziz has proven something beautiful and true. Real wealth is not gold or silver sitting in a vault somewhere. It is pages filled with words and ink that change your mind forever. Fact 33. The war started by football. In 1969, Honduras and El Salvador clashed in what became known as the Soccer War. Tensions had been building for years over immigration and land disputes between them. But football was the spark that finally set everything on fire. After a series of heated World Cup qualifying matches, violence erupted across borders. Within weeks, tanks rolled and soldiers fought a brief but deadly war. Thousands died before a ceasefire was finally agreed upon by both sides. When politics mix with football, sometimes the ball is not the only thing kicked. Sports can unite nations, but they can also tear them apart violently. This war proves that emotions run deeper than any game ever could. And that is just a glimpse into the wildest corners of our past. Which fact blew your mind the most out of everything you just heard? Tell us in the comments below, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories.